Allez, cet après-midi, moi je suis au Royal Tahiti en réunion avec les gars qui viennent d'arriver.
Technicians, no, nothing. They're doing with the French state. And we get the money. That was the DDC. Et les communes disent, hey, you give us this competence, no money.
How do we fund it? Yeah.
Then we turn around.
And that's why it's been wheeling in the air.
Nothing has been done.
Ça a tourné dans la boue. Là.
Right.
Yes.
I have invited the French people.
No problem. On the contrary, we're really proud because, as I say, the project, you're going to be amazed, even better than what I told Tavanana on Wednesday, even much better. What these guys are going to present.
Yes. Do you have any city in the United States using this method now?
All of the technology is in use today around the world, some in the US, some in Europe. So yes, the answer is yes.
Talking about the technology.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
The volume. So we need to adapt. And these guys have the technology to adapt. And that's the amazing thing that you're going to see today in the meeting. But the most important thing, their knowledge is so well done that they're backed up.
I'm sorry asking this question on the city or town in the United States, because I am the mayor of this country and fighting for 50 years against the French colonial power in this country. So we need to help, but I don't want also at the same time to be the turkey of the stuffing.
Exactly.
The turkey of the stuffing.
Yes.
Yeah.
We removed the turkey and the stuffing from this. No turkey, no stuffing.
So it's clear.
Yeah.
I just want to be clear.
No.
100%.
I was telling Tavana Wednesday, if there was any flaws in the solution that we're presenting you, there's no bank in the United States that would finance it. The big condition is having a bank finance. That means they know that this will work, and their background, these guys, the way they're coming from is a complete master of the technology and bring it to adapt it to Tahiti.
Did you have time to read the report made by Ryan in Greek? That I gave him,
It was in French, and they arrived last night, and it was not something I could put into chat GPT to convert easily. But yeah, it'd be
that
definitely
was
something
40 years
interesting.
ago.
Exactly.
Right.
40 years ago.
That was with Ryan and Bechtel, right? Yeah.
But one thing for sure is, you look at that report, it's 40-year-old technology. So whatever we do, we have to start on the right page. We have to start from scratch.
The advancements have been incredible in the last 10 years. The airlines, as you know, have adopted a protocol to take waste and convert it to fuel for the airlines, which is really the ultimate goal of this, is to hopefully get Tahiti to a level where they can move to their own production of sustainable aviation fuel. That is our end game. Incrementally, we have some steps, but the end game is sustainable aviation fuel. And because of that international cooperation, every nation, every large airline has signed on, and there's billions and billions of dollars of contracts to purchase this fuel.
Not only you will generate money out of your waste, you'll get rid of your waste, you will not pollute your land, and you'll have the greatest image because your tourism will be ecological. And this is amazing because you get le beurre et l'argent du beurre, if you say.
Ecotourism.
So let's rotate.
So,
Chris, why don't you come up?
Yeah.
You can start us off here.
So we're going back to a concept that was put together by our team many years ago, which is the Green Island Project. As I say, there's no way that you can recycle the same way in Tahiti as you can recycle in the United States of France. No, enchanté. Yeah, always worried about the Finnois. So this is the other side of trying to help out.
Maybe you translate it into French.
Yeah, I can. Yeah, because not everybody speaks English. So what I'll do is I'll do a little bit in French, a little bit in English, so that everybody can catch. Donc, ce que je disais juste, c'est que l'approche de recyclage est complètement différente quand on doit regarder au niveau national, comme en France ou aux États-Unis, ou quand on doit se réduire à une île. Aux États-Unis, ça va être beaucoup plus efficace de prendre tous les déchets et de trier jusqu'au plus petit élément. Ça veut dire on va remplir un container de plastique, des bouteilles en plastique, on va remplir un container de carton, etc., à l'élément le plus basique. Mais ici, on n'a pas ce volume. Donc, il faut qu'on adapte le recyclage à la petite quantité que produisent les îles. Parce que vraiment, à côté de ces grandes métropoles que tu as en France ou aux États-Unis, c'est des petites quantités. Et l'important, c'est d'adapter cela. Cela n'a jamais été fait. Et ce qui est intéressant, c'est qu'on a ici un groupe d'ingénieurs qui ont monté une solution. Cette solution, c'est facile de dire, voilà, on a ce produit, on va essayer de vous le refourguer. C'est une approche qui est plutôt commerciale et qui est plutôt pour rentrer de l'argent. Mais eux, c'est pas ça. Eux, ils disent, non, nous, on va venir, on va analyser et nous, on est en relation, on est partenaire avec les plus grands acteurs dans le monde du recyclage aux États-Unis. Et on va modulariser tous les éléments dont on a connaissance pour faire ce qu'on appelle le Green Island Project. Donc, réduire au niveau d'une petite île une solution qui est non seulement durable, adaptée, mais aussi ils ont derrière avec eux, parce qu'ils ne sont pas bêtes, ils savent qu'il n'y a pas beaucoup d'argent dans des petites communautés comme ici, c'est d'amener aussi une solution financière. On emmène notre propre financement, donc la commune n'a besoin de sortir aucun argent, et derrière, on a une team d'avocats qui vont aussi aider le côté juridique pour qu'on ait une solution clé en main complète. Et ça, bien sûr, adaptable. C'est-à-dire, on va commencer par une étude, et vous allez voir les bonnes nouvelles sur cette étude, parce que qui dit étude, qui dit argent. Mais on ne va pas vous demander de l'argent. Et ça, je vais laisser ça à Rick et à Jason pour vous l'expliquer. Mais l'idée, c'est d'abord une étude. On veut voir comment on monte le projet, quels sont les éléments, comment on doit tirer. Est-ce que c'est mieux de prendre par exemple les détritus des petites îles dans les archipels et juste les sécher, les broyer et revenir avec Tahiti avec quelque chose qui sent pas mauvais? Ça va être des grosses boules d'une tonne d'une sorte de carburant sec qui est très transportable et qui est optimisé au transport pour pouvoir le traiter ici. Ou bien mettre une petite unité au niveau de chaque archipel. Donc ça, c'est des éléments que eux sont formés à gérer et à monter pour trouver la solution. Et donc, au bout de cette étude, on va amener après les éléments adéquats pour pouvoir trouver une solution de recyclage qui va non seulement être autofinancée, dans la mesure où on va avoir le prêt d'une banque américaine, mais derrière, on va générer de l'argent parce qu'on va créer de l'énergie, on va créer un produit et on va utiliser au début peut-être encore un peu les impôts qui sont collectés pour les détritus, mais tout doucement, il faut bien voir, on va pouvoir se permettre même de les éliminer. Et c'est ça le truc qui va mener cette solution à quelque chose qui en plus va donner une très belle image aux acteurs de ce projet. Parce qu'on va avoir de l'écotourisme et on va arrêter de polluer nos vallées et on va arrêter de générer et d'accumuler ce qu'on appelle de l'or. Comme dit le Tavana, c'est de l'or dur, mais c'est de l'or. Et c'est quelque chose que ça vaut pas le coup de revendre en Asie nos plastiques, de renvoyer nos pneus en Nouvelle-Zélande. On doit prendre tout ça et le gérer nous-mêmes et en tirer l'argent qu'on peut. So I was basically explaining. You got a few words, but I was explaining how we can't use the same model for the big countries and adapt it to Tahiti because there's not enough volume. And so I explained what we talked about last night, basically how to downsize and how to use every resource instead of exporting the plastics to Asia and it's stuck here, or all the tires to New Zealand. This is money. This is money that we can generate, and we're going to use that money and use it to pay off the financing of this loan that will self-pay itself. And so I'm going to now start. It's Rick that's going to take the next step on the... yeah, I know Skip for 20 years, and now I'm starting to say Rick. So I'm going to let Skip take over and present to you the Green Island Project.
Okay.
And now, wait, how do we translate? Donc, on va parler en français. You know what? What I can do is I can translate as you speak. Vous enregistrez, ça va? Ça risque d'être mauvais pour les enregistrements ou ça va?
Non, ça va.
Okay.
Ça va?
So you go speak, I sit, and I will translate as you speak.
She's fluent in English.
La première, c'est bon? You can do it in English with me.
Oh, you can stay in English? Everybody's okay with English? Perfect. So Skip, you take over. And I can sit? No.
I'd just like to say first, Oscar, thank you so much for inviting us back to present again. And as you recall from our initial meetings 20 years ago, the Green Island Project is about localizing your economy using best available technology, best available practices to address the waste concerns in Tahiti. In the approach of integrating these various technologies, you have to start somewhere. So we have a model that has all the various pieces, as we discussed previously. Digestion and pyrolysis being the two key ways to manage the waste. So once we get those two pieces anchored, the rest of this model of integration applies for Tahiti. So that's when the real fun begins. The easy part really is the waste. The difficult part is going to be bringing in all the various islands to participate and moving from these first two pieces into things like producing algae, biofuels via the algae. These two pieces that come together here provide essentially free food for algae. And for us to get to the point of producing biofuels for the airlines, the sustainable aviation fuel, that's probably something that we'll need to look at and build in the future. Because as Chris mentioned, the volumes here are somewhat smaller than other areas. So that is going to be the exciting part of this, is growing this to essentially incorporate all these opportunities in the Green Island Project. The low-hanging fruit is the renewable natural gas, quite easy to produce, can provide fuel for local needs. We can also get into CO2 capture if in fact this project ends up in the Punaru Valley. We could perhaps even take some CO2 from the existing facilities there. to grow the algae. Some of the byproducts of pyrolysis. When pyrolysis is used for biogenic side of things, you get biochar. Biochar can be a soil amendment for agriculture. And when agriculture is used to produce biofuels, we simply continue to build and grow local capacity. So for instance, you guys know we're working in Fiji doing something similar. In Fiji, they have much more volume. So they're able to get to the low rung of sustainable aviation fuel technology. Here, we're still a bit short. If they're able to implement the project there, they will essentially keep in their economy annually 300 million Fiji dollars. So when we analyze Tahiti, we'll have a similar approach, and we'll be able to discover how much money can be kept in the Tahitian economy as opposed to it leaving by purchasing fuel that we can produce here. And
Skip, can I just cut you in a minute?
please.
Can you explain, because I'm sure that people don't understand why you brought in the algae. I didn't mention that, so it could be good just to explain that it's the complementary part that will allow us to go to SAF.
Yes, and that's kind of what I was saying with Fiji. They have enough material to get to SAF.
And they don't need the algae.
Yeah, we're a little short. They don't need the algae. But here, the purpose for the algae is to let us produce more fuel locally. The more fuel you produce locally, the less money you're exporting to import fuel. So it's just that trade-off. Localizing the economy, capturing opportunity, and that's going to start with those two items there, digestion and pyrolysis, which will then allow us to start to look at algae as another activity here to eat. Does that answer your question?
Well, yeah, because there's not enough volume, and there's a minimal volume needed to move to SAF. So that little missing part, we can compensate by creating our own algae. We grow our own algae, and that will create what's missing. And in the meantime that we grow to the volume that is needed to fully operate without the algae, we have the solution to complement with the algae. Do you understand what it is? Okay, I just want to make sure they understood that.
Yeah, so just to give the future goals of this first step established, the future goals create lots of jobs, localize the economy, and help environment. And that's really the ultimate goal of all these pieces being brought together. And I think you're up.
Yeah.
That was easy.
And
You've heard this before.
we'll take breaks for any questions. This is really meant to go back and forth. And again, thank you very much for allowing us to be here. Very grateful. We've had a couple conversations between Skip and myself about how much we've gone back in time. And I'm going to explain to you Native Energy Services Company. But the Green Island project was something that Skip and I were at its very infancy with as a project. Even prior to Tahiti, we started both in Southern California. We started with a very similar project because we were both associated with Catalina Island. And there were a lot of the same similar issues of how to be able to more sustainably create electricity. They were having a lot of issues. And those issues remain a lot of the same issues. The ability to resolve them has grown over time. So from that time that Skip was here, he was talking with you, we formed a separate company which brought in a combination of myself, Jason, and our founder, Elizabeth Perez, who was a enrolled member of the North Fork Rancheria tribe of Mono Indians. And the Mono Indians are located next to Yosemite, what's now called Yosemite. Obviously, they were there before it was called Yosemite. And as a mission of our organization, we decided that we would have a focus on a number of things, but a lot on Indian country, tribal land, and on indigenous areas. So when we reconnected again, Fiji, about other opportunities, about bringing back the Green Island project, it was not only the evolution of the technologies, but this opportunity that indigenous cultures now would have an opportunity to reach objectives of their own. And that may be localized material production, localized labors, sustainability, sovereignty. All these different things are happening in the United States with the tribes that we work with in the United States. but as a model that we can now bring to other indigenous communities. So that's why we formed the Native Energy Services Company, and my co-founder and colleague Jason will go into some more of the details. So as Skip was mentioning, starting back in 2008 and 2007 when we were here, there were a lot of opportunities already to take advantage of waste opportunities and create zero waste production. And those opportunities still exist, and they are part of what we do in our work in Indian country with Native users, that things are phased. It's very difficult to go out there and accomplish everything that you want to accomplish all in one step. So if you start instead with saying, what's the nearest term types of things we can do with a more comprehensive master plan for what you'd like to be able to accomplish. And a lot of times that master plan is generated not only by localized needs, but things we're going to talk about, that the country as a whole, the world as a whole is now moving towards these things. So we're in a time and space right now where we need to move rather rapidly to try to find solutions. And sustainable aviation fuel has come as kind of being the thing that is driving projects that would have been done previously, but now are being done because of the motivation of sustainable aviation. And so there's a list of things that we feel are beneficial of sustainable aviation fuel for Tahiti, but we're talking about last night. Beyond the sustainability, probably the most important thing is sustainable tourism. That this generation, the generations that are coming, are going to have expectations that when they get on that flight from LAX like we did and fly out 8 hours, and we think about the plane that we're coming out in, that sustainable aviation fuel makes us feel a little bit better about all that it takes to come out and fly out here. And so in general, kind of across the board, the aviation industry is adopting and adapting to sustainable aviation fuel and growing with it because they understand that their customers are looking forward to this. The other side of the equation is that at some point, the economics between sustainable aviation fuel and traditional fossil fuels are going to start to cross. And we're at a place right now to grow towards that. And it's, again, the goal in talking to you is not to say, how do we switch over to 100% localized sustainable aviation fuel tomorrow? That is not something that is accomplishable. But there is a plan that can eventually get you to something like that. So in that pathway, what we want to start laying out is gaining some experience, learning out what we can already start to do, if you can flip to the next page there, and take advantage of things. And so as I was mentioning, not just here locally, but again across the world, they're all looking at these same sorts of issues. Air France wants you to have sustainable aviation fuel. Air France already wants it for the rest of their flights that they're doing. They're focusing on it within France. So it's driven by a lot of things. And fortunately, collectively across the world, we're creating opportunities to be able to do it. So carbon credit opportunities is one example. So one of the things Jason and I will be talking with you about our model is we go out there and we look to find out where's, at a very macro level, where are opportunities being created. Because if we were trying to do all of this by ourselves with our own money and try to make this all work, it'd be very challenging. So the other part that's important here is that the overall landscape for what we're talking about here is not something that just Tahiti is trying to do, but collectively across the world is trying to happen. So the other thing that drove us over here recently is that it's not just that you would like to be able to take waste and be able to convert it, which is a good thing to be able to do, but there are also problems with that landfill waste, as you guys are all very much aware of. And there's just, a list: limited space, methane emissions, groundwater contamination, air quality issues, waste management challenges. I don't have to explain this to you. You guys live with it every single day. So if there was a way, magic wand being out there, that you had a solution to solve this problem and create actually a whole nother solution. The two of them coming together is why now that the combination of sustainable aviation fuel and landfill, just as two connecting points, are something that should be motivation. Okay, so I think it really in this one is just a repeat here, is that we have a combination of localized feedstock and sources and things that we can grow, a broader universe of opportunities that collectively across the globe that people want to help you with. The French government, for example, would love to be your allies if you would like them to be, to make this all work. Again, it goes back to where some of these opportunities kind of come from. And then most importantly, the thing that we have to always reiterate is that this has a local economy benefit, workforce development, job creation, business creation, all those types of things, is again another thing that we're doing where we're taking a problem and trying to create a solution. Down here. And I'm going to turn it over to Jason at this point. He's going to talk about the model that we use to try to work with you to get this done.
Yeah, I'm going to do it sitting down. I like to have a conversation and a presentation. So, NESCO, as you said, came out of our business partner, Liz Perez. She's a Native American. I'm partially Native, and my wife is partially Native American. I grew up from K through 5th grade on Guam. Half my family's from Taiwan. We're very island-centric. And we go to Hawaii every year. I actually bought property in Hawaii. NESCO, Native Energy Service, was created to develop opportunities for indigenous tribes in the United States, to give them independence from the U.S. government, not just independence, but their own way to create their own economy. You know, they were kind of left behind a bit. So they needed their own economy, they needed their energy independence from the utility grid, and they wanted to be able to make, you know, in that economy, make their own money, make their own, not just, right now, a lot of the tribes, their income is from casinos. But the tribes that have no casinos, they really don't have a sustainable income. And so what NESCO does, we go and develop opportunities for the tribes to give them that independence, that freedom, and that their own local economy, workforce development. And so we do that by a process called Master Energy Service Contract. And we take on because we understand that the tribes we work with, the nations we work with, they don't really have the dollars to spend to pay Bechtel and the big boys millions of dollars to try to figure this out. So what we do is we come in with our own sweat, we call it sweat equity, if you will, and we develop and we look for the solution. And we do it on our own nickel, our own cost. So there's no cost to anybody, because that's how the tribes have to do the project. We had to evolve ourselves into making sure that we can get a project moving forward. And to do that, we had to put in a lot of time and effort ourselves. And, you know, that's a lot of, in the development world, I always give the same speech it takes a long time to develop something. You guys have been listening to Skip for 20 years and 10 years, and you get what we call developer's fatigue. And that's one of the main things that stops projects like this. People get tired of how long it takes to get something going. So in our model, we only benefit when our customer benefits. There's no benefit for us. We're just going to work at this and try to get this passed through the development phase and make sure there's an opportunity here. And so when we look at the landscape, as Rick was talking about, we look at what are the issues and then what are the solutions for those issues. We are not a technology company. We don't make the product, so we're not trying to pitch a product. We try to find the right solution, and we go out and find the technology that meets that solution and make sure it's integrated and works. And so think of us more of a developer integrator, where engineering firm integrates different technologies to make sure that group of technologies that Skip was showing actually does what it's supposed to do. And we call it being bankable. So once we have a feasibility study put together, we make sure that it's bankable. We go out to independent third-party engineering that the banks rely on to say that this project is bankable. And then we wrap the project with a big firm like Technique that'll bond the project. And that's how these big types of projects actually get moving forward, and not just an idea or a presentation. You know, it takes It takes the government, it takes the locals, it takes the banks to want to do the project. And so you have to start here and make sure that you have everyone's buy-in. And then you have to do a feasibility study and take that to the people who have the money. Because we don't want to give this project, and this is where our passion is with our Native Energy Service Company is, we're not trying to make this work for a big company where they're selling the fuel to the airlines and they're selling, they're making the revenue. We want Tahiti to make the revenue. We want the tribes to make the revenue. In other models you might see, people are trying to convince you to do a project because they want to make money. They want to sell that. They want to handle the waste. That's not our model. Our model is for, again, what we've done in the past with tribes is to make them the money, make them the equity. And we do it through what we call our capital stack. We look for grant opportunities, which is, usually government incentives, and then philanthropy is another part of the capital stack, and then there's the bank. And again, the bank component is making sure that what our solution is bankable. I'm gonna stop there, pause there, if there's any questions, anything you guys want to ask.
How do you, if you're not in this for the business side of it, how do you remunerate yourselves?
How do we make our money?
Right.
We do it on a percentage of success. So
Okay.
whatever the percentage is of the project, we'll do a developer's fee percentage. So if there's no project, we don't do anything. That's the risk we take. We obviously the motivation, the way we came up with this model, because our motivation is now to be successful, because we're going to put all this time, effort, and engineering, and if it doesn't move forward, we just wasted so much time and dollars. So it aligns we call it putting skin in the game, right? It aligns us with success. If we're not successful, then we wasted a lot of time and money.
I was looking at your website, and you are specialized in energy services, but in solar technology and that sort of thing. There are no example of similar projects like this one on your site. Is this one of the first ones? You were talking about Fiji?
No, it's not. I think our site is geared towards what's happening right now in Native American territory, where the opportunities are what we call microgrids, where it's mostly solar energy storage. Everyone's getting away from fuels like natural gas. A lot of our tribal territories don't have a natural gas pipeline, so we can't do a cogeneration power plant. My background is I'm an engineer. I've done hundreds of megawatts of power plants, natural gas, fuel cells, and so my focus as a developer is never to pigeonhole myself to a technology. If I go through my resume of project, you'll see things from Yenbacher generators, Kawasaki turbines, fuel cell energy, fuel cells, UTC fuel cells, a blanket of different technologies. I never want to shoehorn myself into something. As a developer, as an engineer, I'm looking at all technologies that are available, that are proven, that are bankable. And those are the key metrics that I use to see what's available. But yes, so for our website, it is right now focused on what the market opportunity is right now.
So let me just add a little bit to that, because I was mentioning that a lot of this is driven by what is happening as motivators and priorities. So in Indian country right now, in Los Angeles, we had the big wildfires this past January. Wildfires have been impacting Indian country significantly. One of our big motivations for forming Native Energy Services Company came out of wildfires that destroyed Liz's tribes twice in 2 years. And the ability to build microgrids, battery storage, community centers for protection, for public safety, power shutoffs when the utilities go down. All of these things are motivations. In some ways, the tribes themselves don't fly very many airplanes, right? So you would say, why would sustainable aviation fuel be of importance to them? Well, quite a few tribes are now looking at it, and it's coming from a connection in some ways, from the same connection that is driving what's happening on the wildfire mitigation side. So biomass conversion is getting to be a big component. So we're working on quite a few biomass projects. And again, it kind of comes down to, if you're going to take forest waste, or if you're going to take agricultural waste, what is it you're going to make out of it? Well, for a lot of tribes, that sovereignty is key number one thing for them. So they want to be able to generate as much power as they can for resiliency, and form their own utilities, but also from a revenue standpoint, if they can make renewable natural gas or green hydrogen and be able to sell it as a item rather than just casino dollars, they are looking for opportunities. But there are a number of tribes in the United States, and I can make the connection for you, that are now focusing on sustainable aviation fuel because they have the land to be able to generate the feedstock that's going to be required. So the difference really is also Chris was mentioning, we're dealing with an island and the ability to generate things locally. When you're in the United States and you make sustainable aviation fuels, maybe you're making it for here, but also you're making it to it as an export product as well. So it really kind of comes back to this, again, combination of things. The technologies, as Jason was alluding to, we have a lot of experience with the various technologies. It's back to the customer to say, at the end of the day, of what that combination of those technologies is going to generate. One pathway would be renewable natural gas for vehicles, or for, we have an example. We're in San Diego. There's a company that's based out of Carlsbad, which is northern San Diego, and they're called Energia, and they have been very successful on municipal waste conversion through anaerobic digesters. So a lot of California policy says we have to convert that. They have a way to be able to do it. But in their case, they said they stopped because the policy was connected to renewable natural gas, to microgrids. Could they have converted it to sustainable aviation fuel? Absolutely. It's just a change at the end of the pathway of what you want and why you need to have it.
It's the market driver. What's the market driver at that location? I'm glad you brought up the forest waste. So there's a tribe we've been working with for 3 years now, Tule River Tribe. And they're happy to talk to you guys. We've been working in this same Master Energy Services contract we're proposing, where we started off with nothing, just a blank white paper. We said, what's your goals? We mapped out a goal, what they wanted to accomplish, and we are accomplishing these goals now. We set up already EV fast chargers at their gas stations. We started our microgrid project. We brought in DOE money, Department of Energy money grant. Then we wrote the grant. We won the grant. It was a great day. And then now we're deploying those projects. And one of the projects we're just starting on is a pyrolysis project. And that project is, there's a lot of forest waste that causes these fires. So we're gonna gather and harvest that forest waste that's on the ground that's causing these big fires for the tribes, and we're gonna use this pyrolysis system to create energy, syngas, and biochar. And we're gonna sell the biochar. And this is all through Tule River's, what they call Tule River Economic Development Corporation. Tribes will set up a corporation, and their only goal is to make money for the tribe, their economic development. And so this group we've been working with for 3 years, we have gone through these steps that he talked about, taking smaller bites of the apple, and then my job is to keep them focused, because the fatigue 3 years, what's happening, the first year and a half, it just seems like nothing was happening, but there was a lot happening behind the scenes, writing the grant, getting awarded the grant, the design engineering, the utility integration, dealing with all the other, BIA, which is the Bureau of Indian Affairs, all the politics behind it, the different, the tribal council. With tribes, they change who runs the tribe all the time. And so when you have to do this discussion every time there's a new election with the new tribal council. So it causes the development fatigue to occur, but now you see it. Now we had a ribbon cutting ceremony, I think it was just like 2 or 3 weeks ago, in one of our EV charging stations, fast chargers, at their gas station C-store. We had the local government there, we had the CEC there, CARB was there, which is California Air Resources Board, and that's one of the smaller grants we got from them. But it's a progress, and it's actually a really good example of our success with tribes, is these little baby steps. And now we're into this bio farming of using pyrolysis.
You've come to the right place, because he's not about to lose the city. He's been here
and
for a long time.
That's Liz's, our founder Liz, who's the enrolled member. Her passion is independence for indigenous people. So we don't have just this monetary passion in the leadership. We want to help indigenous folks to have their independence, to make income.
You were here about like over 15 years ago, 2008, 2009, I think you said.
It was 20 years ago.
20 years ago.
Yes.
Of course, the amount of waste that needs to be treated has greatly increased. From your point of view, that's good, right?
Yes.
Because the scale back then, 20 years ago, was maybe too small to be really viable.
We didn't have the staff opportunity, so we really have a beautiful end game now. And at that point, we were looking to provide power to the utility, and it was quite difficult. The business model. So the timing was, we were a bit early.
Right.
Yeah, and then, with the ideas we have now that we want to go through this feasibility study is, what's the path of the least resistance for the revenue generation? And in these steps, instead of, because we could easily make a power plant, and generate more power, but that, my limited understanding, because this is part of the study, is that's a harder push to try to convince the utility to buy the power that we'll generate, and then at a good economic payback. But fuel, the syngas we produce can be made into biodiesel, can be made into SAF, can be made into a lot of different fuels that now you don't really need the utility's permission to use that as a revenue, right? Now you have buyers of that. You have the airlines that'll buy that. You'll have vehicles, other transportation models that you utilize that. Instead of right now, you're importing everything. All your petroleum's imported. And how's it imported? It's imported by petroleum vehicles. Right?
I'm dreaming about using that fuel for our vehicle. We have around 100.
Yeah.
The city of.
Exactly. So you have it for your own use, and then you have it as a revenue source for yourselves.
And the airport is here. Everything is here.
Yeah. I think the trick as we look at developing this. What's that?
He has plans for the airport.
Oh, good. Good. We want one of those big tanks out there to be full of your fuel that the airlines have to buy from you.
Right.
So that's really to sum it up. That's our model is to come in.
Question.
Uh-huh.
If you go around the city of you go to Pamatai Hill, clean.
Mm-hmm.
Rich people living there. You go to the downside of this city, poor people living there.
Mm-hmm.
It's dirty like hell. How to, I can read, what is written on this board. Education our people.
Mm-hmm.
That's the main.
That's a great question. Actually, Rick, can you speak to what we've done with the native tribes in educating them and in our
From
efforts?
school to.
Well,
We start from here, from this country.
Right.
we're very fortunate because the California government is very progressive and connected to understanding that
Right now when we ask our people, I said, well, it goes to the same place, the landfill. Why do we have to sort that?
Right. And sometimes you get sorting at your location because you can't. In the real world, there's always sorting, right? Because not everyone's going to follow the sorting at the local level, at the house level, at the hotel level. People just look at the trash can, whichever one's closer is where they're going to throw it, right?
At least if they throw it in the can.
If they make it into the can, right? Exactly. So ultimately, you're going to have a sorting facility. You're going to have to do that. Every facility, the one he mentioned with Energia, they have a big sorting facility. You just have to sort. There's different technologies out there that help in advancing in sorting to make it more automated, but there's a lot of people involved with sorting too. And a lot of people means a lot of jobs.
Yeah, and that said, the sorting is happening behind the scenes. The people are correct in some ways when they say it goes to the same place. So why do we bother at the home? And so with this system, everything goes to the same place, true, and then it's sorted there. So the people don't necessarily need to in virtually every instance.
But education is important, maybe not for the minute part of sorting, but for understanding eventually the job opportunities, because this is going to bring, a project like this is going to bring a lot of job opportunities
So
at that time.
it's very important.
Yeah.
Explain to the people like to get fuel for our planes, get
Right.
fuel for our car. So we need to follow the rules.
I have a small
Everyone.
little example. I did a project for the city of Encinitas, a little city in San Diego, and it was a thermal storage, basically these big tanks that make slushy at night because the electricity is cheaper at night. And then there was solar and battery storage, amongst the other few little energy efficiency things. We brought in skylights in the roof to bring more daylight in, stuff like that for the city. The city of Encinitas is very progressive. But what we did, we put right above the city hall, up a little higher, is their new library. And on one side of the library is the children's side. So we put an interactive touch screen for the children. We had a program it so the kids can actually touch and see what's happening. What's the tank? They can see the tank. They push they touch the tank figure. And it tells them that we're making slushy. They're really making it something they understand. You know, we're not making pink ice. It's actually a pink-looking slushy. And it was pretty cool, little interactive thing. But yeah, it's all part of education, starting from when they're young and making them understand.
Yes,
You know, this is your home.
Yeah.
You know, again, I grew up.
You miss the purpose though of making the slushy at night when the power's cheap, so you can use it in the day
Daytime, right.
to create air conditioning.
Yep.
Which is something that could be done here also when you have off-peak power. That's a great
Yeah,
technology.
except we don't really have a night tariff. It's not.
Yeah.
I mean, not for companies do it, I believe, but regular people, individual user, we
There's no
pay.
off-peak.
We pay the same price,
pay
whatever
a lot more
whatever
time.
time of day or night.
That sounds like the utility.
Yeah.
That's what we done with 20 years ago.
But going back to your question, it starts with you setting the objectives, you setting the goals. What does success mean? What is it composed of? So when we work, for example, in Indian country, it's so unusual for have somebody come and say, what is it you want? And the first part of the conversation is, we don't even know what we want. So we have to start with that conversation first.
Right.
What is the realm of the possible?
And we can lay out the possibilities out there, but we don't dictate. We kind of sit and have a conversation. That's why I didn't want to stand up, because I've always just sat and had conversations. Say, okay, what are we going to, I usually sit at a big table, and we put out a piece of paper and say, what are we trying to do here? What's your end goal? You know, usually with our tribal customers, it's the easy answer is independence. We want to be independent. What does that mean? You know, power wise, what does that mean? Government wise, what does that, we dig down to what independence means. Okay, let's start saying, how do we do this? How do we accomplish that? How do we accomplish this part? And then, eventually you get there. It's a long haul. It's a tough thing, developing a project like this. It is not easy. It's time consuming. And I always use the developer fatigue, because I'll just keep hitting you. I'll say, hey, don't forget, keep your eye on the ball.
But he's been at it for 20 years. Look at it.
It's a tough haul.
The
So-
good news is that the guy with the camera right here,
Yeah.
he's not going away. He's going to be here to help you 24/7, to help us understand really what those goals and objectives are. And then we work behind the scenes to say, well, how do we be able to
And
accomplish?
then once we figure out kind of the master energy project, we will put together a schedule of what milestones we're trying to hit, and we're targeting those schedules to try to hit those milestones. So you have it's not just a conversation at that point. Now you have goals, just like using Tule River as an example. In the 3 years, we set a goal for everything we sat down and mapped out we wanted to do, and we're now past. We've surpassed several of those milestones. Now we're now in the biochar pyrolysis. When 3 years ago when we mentioned pyrolysis, they're like, oh yeah, that's a pipe dream. That's something we'd probably never see in our lifetime. Well, we're here now. 3 years, we got to pyrolysis.
I have do you guys think you'll be looking at new waste collection, the stuff that's generated every day, or is there any way to use what we already have accumulated in the landfills?
That's a great question. That's part of our study. That's one of the questions we want to hear. Say, okay, that's a concern now. how do we address that? What are the opportunities
reduce
there?
that?
So we're heading up to the landfill and have a look.
Yeah.
Okay.
So is there,
If you like, we can
about
go
that-
now.
We talked about the other day, is there a way to tap that landfill? Is there a way to get the methane out of that? Are there issues with tapping it? We had
Yes.
that discussion on the plane on the way here.
Yes, and there are some cutting edge technologies that allow you to do in situ, essentially digestion, where you can inoculate the existing material, you can accelerate the biogenic activity of the microbes you inject, and then if the landfill is such that you can actually contain that's emerging, then yes. But it depends very much on the design of the landfill initially. So the sanitary landfill is easier because it's encapsulated and has modules, etc. But as we understand from time to time, the sanitary landfill in summer doesn't auto-combust. When it auto-combusts, we lose all that energy, it goes away. So we have to evaluate each location on its particular merits. But
And
yes,
the
it can be done.
potential. I would like to add a little thing. So just to summarize a little bit, just to give you the global picture, again, instead of bringing one technology, like I said to Tavana the other day, pyrolysis. Okay, it's great. It's a module. We put it there, and we make it work. This is not what these guys are bringing. These guys are a little bit like your government advisor. You don't, as a decision maker, you don't go ahead and say, okay, we buy this. You talk to an advisor. You say, you're a professional, tell me what to do. So these guys will tell you what to do. They will identify everything that you need and to bring it together as a global solution to exactly what you need. Because I know it might be a little bit strange. Why are they talking about tribes? Why are they talking about, Catalina? What it is basically these guys are trained to reduce to a smaller size the solution. And this is why they're the ideal guys to bring a solution to Tahiti, because with Catalina especially, they were able to find a solution. And now to bring a solution here is exactly something that they're used to. And what's even better, you could say, oh great, they're gonna charge us with something and then it's not gonna work and it's gonna be money wasted. Not at all. Why? Because not only they will not ask for a single dime, they're self-financing their research and their study. At the end of that, they will say, here's the solution.
We are your partner.
Yeah, exactly.
Exactly.
And what he said, as your consultants, as your developer, we don't make the final
It's
decision.
completely different with
Right.
all people we met for 40 years.
Mhm.
Yes.
Right. We
All
don't
the
make
time.
the decision. We don't make the decision. You
It
make the
would cost
decision.
you a full,
We don't push a
$40
solution.
million US.
Right.
We don't push a solution.
Right.
What we do, we induced in your context the best solution that will be applicable
And don't
to
get me
your
wrong, I'm going to
environment.
recommend the solution. I'm going to say this is why. I'm going to
Yeah.
pitch why I think this is the right solution.
Another very important question. Far is alone in this country. And you have all the cities, the other cities. They will learn, they will hear about what we are doing now. They will come. They will come because they have no solution.
Right.
This coming Saturday night or Monday night, we have a meeting with the president of the government, Muay Thai. We're going to do that. So my question would be, are we dealing with only and wait for the rest of the country afterwards? Or we can do it as
I don't know if I have that answer.
How scalable are the?
No, it is scalable. And in fact, this is exactly what I was talking about when we were together.
Let me finish.
Yeah.
Far is free.
Mhm.
The other cities, no, they belong to a kind of syndicate
Okay.
controlled by
some people are very, so that is the difference.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah, you know, in any project you have to deal with the political aspects of the project. Because you're not going to be successful unless you have body if they're important to the success, right? If their waste is important. You know, if the eventual end goal is SAF, sustainable energy fuel, we need more waste. And when we get to that step, I think, you know, and I'm just speaking out loud here because we don't know yet. We don't know what we don't know. But as you implement these steps, you're going to be a haven for people. Oh, what's going on over there? Wow, that's what they're doing with their waste. And they're going to come to you and say, hey, how do we participate? Right? How do we have the same similar issues. How do we participate? Then we start growing the waste feedstock. Then we get into SAF. But it's a step process.
Myself, I would like them to join us, but we have to find out the right
They
time.
have those contracts.
It is a
They
solution.
got a contract bound with that collective syndicate.
Okay.
The
She
waste-
knows the
waste
situation
collection.
exactly.
And so it's
So,
long-term contracts, so.
If we can have Caroline, our team, she's
Great.
be very.
That's
I
excellent.
can
But
imagine
you know what?
that's my job.
To do their job, they have to pay, don't they?
Sure.
So now, instead of paying, we offer a solution that we pay them to get their stuff.
Chris,
I'm not gonna like that.
careful,
Right?
careful on that.
No, what I mean by that is, what I say by paying them, if you stop paying something, indirectly we're paying you. That's
But
what I
at
mean.
the end of the day, I you know, Mr. Tamaro was mentioning the fact that people are difficult to educate. If you get something for free, you feel entitled very quickly.
Yeah,
And at that, you know, there comes a moment where you have to charge people for a service. It's still a service.
Absolutely.
Uh,
So just to that point, one of the reasons Tahiti was so special in terms of this kind of a project is that the economic drivers, especially with the tipping fees, the amount of money that is paid for that material to be put into the Centre landfill is one of the highest tipping fees in the world. So it's a very strong driver.
But we have a lot of records of that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
It's
so
also the electricity, the highest electricity.
that too, and we were.
Who's higher?
It's one.
Go to Vanuatu, check it out.
Oh,
It's one of the highest. Yeah.
It's one.
So-
That was the issue about 20 years ago.
Yeah.
Yes, no, no.
Okay. But to the point that Oscar's making for the various cities, we absolutely would want to cooperate and invite everyone to participate, as Chris said, and they've said, to get to SAF, we need every single molecule of energy that can be brought to the plant. Because that every molecule of energy that we convert to SAF makes the project that much more important. So.
And one last thing that I want to make sure you understand is these guys, they're just not a group of, let's say, consultants. They're closely working with the final product, the final companies that make the pyrolysis, that make the digester. They're so closely working with them that these guys will say, hey, whatever you guys put together as a solution, we'll cover you. And we'll cover you all the way to go and walk into the back and say, hey, these guys, what they did is a perfect solution. And the company you work with, you can correct me if I'm wrong, the companies you work with will vouch your work to guarantee the financing and to make it happen.
Well, they have to, yeah, they have to wrap it. So the technology has to be wrapped, and then the EPC firm has to bond and wrap the project to make it bankable, to bring in actual bank dollars.
And that's important. The concept of wrapping.
You should wish to get united.
True, and
Yeah, it's true. I mean, we really need to get everybody to bring all the waste together, not
Right,
stopping the polluting.
And part of the history of this, 20 years ago, it is the same international engineering firm, Technique, that was interested to wrap the project then, 20 years ago. And they will, based on the technology that we have discussed, they will wrap the project again today, 20 years later. So we have the same, it's quite literally the same organization that we have put together 20 years ago.
Can you just summary real quick,
Yes.
describe Technique, how big of a company and how
They're in-
reputable?
They're in the
So
top
that-
5.
And-
I just wanted to everybody know, because we say Technique, it might just run over your head. Technique is one of the 5 top guys, and they will completely cover these guys' work of pre-analyzing, identifying whatever is needed here. And this is very important
And making
because the
big.
bank will not finance if it's not reliable and feasible.
Right. Technique, essentially, their specialty is petroleum and refining. And so when you look at this project on a technical level, it really is just a small refining. It's like an oil refinery. And that's their specialty. So they're very comfortable with this. Very comfortable.
How long will you need to do the visit? How long are you staying here to do your study, and how long will you need to return?
The studies take as long as we get the information that we need, right? So when it's not obviously the first time I've been asked that question. It's a cooperation. We're working together. So how quickly we can get answers is how quickly we can study together. And so ideally, I would say 6 to 9 months would be a target to have a completed study. Now, whether we hit that or not just depends on how the communications work. And things that I don't know about, like the politics behind other cities, and this as you're describing, I don't know about that. So does that slow us down in some aspect of
And this
analyzing the
how long are you
feedstock?
staying this time?
We're here for a week.
Okay.
Yeah, I have a question for you. We were asking that your ability to make a commitment to this project, is it based upon land availability, the ability to work with the government to say we are going to move forward, to direct permitting, to, what is it that your group as a whole can do to have a project like this move forward? Just so we kind of start to
We have
understand.
the waste and we have the land here in Far.
Yes, okay. So the basic elements.
What we call authorities having jurisdiction for permitting and zoning. We don't know that yet here. Those are the things we'll have to
That's
educate
good
ourselves.
local government.
Yes.
And without getting too much into the weeds, just historically, 20 years ago, the government, when Oscar was president, they had allocated land in Punaroo Valley near the existing, at least at that time, the transfer station. I don't know if it's still there.
They have a new plan. They changed the PGA, what they call PGA, which is the land management plan.
Right.
And they're opening up a second part of the valley for industrial companies.
Right. So when we looked at the logistics at that time,
But there still might be room.
it was ideal because the waste was already going to there to be managed to then go to Paiola.
We sort of brought up again one of the big scandals up in the Punahou Valley right now that is for the last 50 years almost. In terms of house waste management,
Residential.
residential,
Yeah.
85% of the houses here have their own little
Burning pit.
right.
Yeah.
I don't know how you call it. And so once in a while you pump them out. That goes directly into a hole at the back of the Punahou Valley that has
Unlined.
that permit-
Sewage.
Yeah.
That permit is since 1972, and it's been tolerated ever since because there is no other solution.
Right.
And in fact, correct me if I'm wrong, but sewage we can process.
Yes.
Yeah. So we can take all the STP sewage instead of running it through a station, a purifying station, or running it the way we do it in the Punahou Valley. We can just dry it and put it through our system. And this is part of the study. So I think, definitely, ideally, it would be great that everybody comes in, but the step foot in the door with FAA will make everybody so jealous that they will join in.
I
It's
see a big
monkey
billboard.
see, monkey do.
I see a big billboard. Your poop is our bread and butter.
No, but they'll see that it works here, and you'll see that they're going to come like sheeps. They're going to come and join in because they're going to stop having to pay to get rid of, and we will say, hey, give it to us.
Yeah, it is my wish and maybe also the wish of the president of the government because we are ruling the country at the same time. So we have to find a solution.
Right, exactly.
And I would add, it's also the wish of the High Commissioner.
And all the other cities, they don't know
what to do.
Exactly.
Yeah, we did the
And
same
nobody
thing. I
was
remember,
paid.
when I lived on Guam, we had the same thing. We burned our trash in a pit. I don't remember anyone taking it, though. I just remember burning it.
We have the same issue in Fiji. In the evening, you can go up to the tallest building near the airport and you can look and you can see 20, 30, 40.
So we're a bit more advanced. I mean, there's very few people, some people still, even though it's forbidden in most in the urban zones, they burn their green, their garden.
And the
cuttings
plastic.
all that, that's okay. But all the burning of plastics and everything, then you don't see it as much happening as much as you used to.
Oh, that's good. Yeah, that's good. And there's when we were here 20 years ago, we toured dozens of pirate or illegal landfills. And one of my friends here, his grandmother, her home, I'll never forget, the pirate dump was in her backyard, literally, and the wall of her home, the garbage was stacking up against the wall of her home, which was, for me,
There are
pretty
still
shocking.
some wild, people like dumping their stuff in the woods or whatever, but not always huge on an industrial scale.
Yeah, just the village scale. Yeah, so we'd like to be able to collect that too.
So I think just, and again, to first of all be thankful for you having us and for your time. I don't want to take too much of it today, but I do want to say the one message is that talk to us about what you want. Talk about when you want to have it, and we'll put together a model for you to go forward with that. So that is kind of the uniqueness of it. And the way that you were getting back to your last point, a lot of times when we get grants for tribal projects, it is to be replicable, meaning that what did you learn about working through with this tribe and what can other tribes learn from you? So when you say, I want to start in this community and then let other communities come over, you are being unique in that we're going to be open. We're going to show you how you can replicate this where you are or add to it collectively to be able to do it. So we're open to all of those ideas. This again goes back to what I was saying. Maybe the first challenge is defining what it is that you want, right? And we're happy to be in part of that conversation with you and defining the goals, the realm of the possible with you. And then we take that as defined and start to say, well, what is a pathway and what's the best fit to be able to get there?
And just a sidebar on that, the word he just used, replicable, is so important. And I'm not sure if anyone here knows the name Buckminster Fuller. He started this kind of thought process quite some time ago. And there is what's called the Buckminster Fuller Institute. And under that auspices, there's what they call the Trim Tab Project. A Trim Tab Project is essentially taking a example that can be replicated. And Tahiti could be that trim tab. So when there's a giant ship, Buckminster Fuller's story was, when you want to change the course of the ship, you don't run to the bow and push the bow. You go back to the stern, you find the rudder. On the rudder is a little tiny trim tab. That little tiny trim tab moves a little bit and the whole ship turns. So this, when you say replicable, is actually Trim Tab Project. And the Buckminster Fuller Institute looked at the Green Island Project many years ago, and it's part of their Trim Tab protocol. And they, at some point, when they hear what we're doing, they can share this with the whole world, because they have an international standing also. So just interesting.
It's true.
Yeah.
Tahiti will be the center of the world because no kidding. I know, right? But it would be nice if it's the center of the world of ecological solution brought to a micro environment.
You know, people could call it like moonshot. You hear the term moonshot. You know, it feels like it's an impossible thing, but it's really not. You just have to have the right people with the right mindset and the right want to do it, and you got to push through it and make it happen.
See, they're not going to invent anything.
Right.
They're just going to invent putting it together and downsizing it. Exactly, downsizing it to Tahiti. And that's why you're not going to be a guinea pig, because the technology's there.
Yeah,
they will just engineer it to fit your need at our own cost.
We have zero interest in being a guinea pig for a technology person that's out there. That's why we always say.
Some of those,
And we always say we're technology neutral. You'll hear us say that on there. We're technology neutral. We need to prove out whatever technology fits, and we need to make it, like we're saying, bankable. Is it bankable technology? Does it work for our application? And if it doesn't, then next, who's going to fit?
If the thing is not feasible, the banks
We won't touch it.
and they won't. Yeah,
It's a waste of our
that's
time.
why that's your guarantee.
I can think of a few examples of the bank actually paying for stuff that didn't turn out to be good.
But as long as it's not your wallets, that's the most important.
But usually those are because the bank owner is friends with the guy that made the deal.
Well, there was a government guarantee.
Well, again, thank you so very much. You said that you wanted to go out and take a tour of a couple of locations. Is that today?
Yeah.
Yeah.
On va visiter. On peut visiter.
We'll stay now. Started from the warehouse.
You know, I climb here all the time, but I've never seen it.
We have fantastic. So far, we cut the hill up there, and we
yeah.
brought the dirt from up there down here because it was deep down, 100 meters down.
Oh wow!
Yes,
So it was a canyon.
yes. This is the landfill of one. Yeah. It was like that down there.
So now the current landfill is down there.
At the bottom. Yeah. Wednesday afternoon, Friday afternoon, we have kids here. Coming
That's
here.
great. Twice a week.
Hit the ball. Nice.
It's beautiful.
Look, coconut trees.
Rainwater. Okay.
And all the small springs from the mountain came here.
Okay.
Ah, c'est la réserve d'eau.
So this is the collection for everything you can get your hands on water-wise.
Yeah.
Okay.
And just down there we have 500 cubic meters reservoir just to make it drinkable, potable.
Yes.
With,
So you have
all the-
filter.
Yes.
Reverse osmosis.
Yes. And we won the. Comment tu appelles le prix qu'on a gagné? Le prix pour l'eau qu'on distribue.
La potabilité.
Potabilité.
En ISO 9001.
9001 l'ISO, hein? Le prix. It's a challenge. I love it.
I'm already working on that one we did today. Get to you.
think for everything. Yeah. That's a good analogy. When I first came to Tahiti, in my life I've never gone to church. I don't like church. But when I got here the first time, every chance I got I went to church. Because the singing heavenly. Incredible. Like in the most remote islands, you go to different churches, there's like two guys playing a guitar and the girls are singing. And it's the only place I've ever gone to church is here.
It's a beautiful day in the neighborhood.
To the right path to the victory.
More or less.
Your thumb.
Oh.
There it is.
It
The other
doesn't,
victory.
it doesn't even go up anymore because I'm missing the tendon that brings it up. So that one's coming back in May.
Okay. Cheers.
Cheers.
Where's yours? If you're coming
Cheers,
in,
Jason.
I'll be on your starboard
Cheers.
side.
Cheers.
Cheers to my wife.
Yes, we
Cheers.
Salud.
Cheers.
Cheers.
Bébé, tu bois pas de champagne, hein?
To
Your
ours.
success, indeed.
Yeah.
Cheers.
To the success of the project.
Plaisir de vous avoir. And happy
Cheers.
This generation.
Tell me the story.
So this is my unique rice, which is cooked to a slow cook for 3 hours at minimum fire. So it builds up a crusty crust that you will have mixed up with a moist tuna that you will have in your plate. It will be an incredible feeling in your mouth.
Maybe later we will have.
Excellent. Well, I'm gonna let you pass it out while that smoke still comes out of there.
Yeah, it's steam.
Steam, exactly. Steam. Another beautiful day here in Tahiti.
Enjoy.
Water everywhere in case there was a shortage.
No. 61? Wow.
Il y a beaucoup d'énergie qui peut recycler, mais il y a une perte de valorisation.
Bon, c'est pas perdu pour tout le monde.
Ah, il a besoin de traducteur.
Oh my goodness.
Ok.
Oh my
Tu me dis
goodness.
si je dois le traduire.
Voilà, je m'en sors.
No comment.
Organdi, manga.
Quelle est la température ici? 12 degrés Celsius.
Je dis 12 et tu leur dis 12.
Non, mais je réfléchis plus quand je traduis. Organic white.
7.
Oh my goodness.
Regarde, he's 4.
You're gonna share that video.
That's
Oh, who's that?
Il y a quelqu'un qui est tombé dans les bouteilles.
This was the good year? This was the good year.
Ah, ça c'était la bonne année. That's his own crop.
Thank you, one.
Wow, it goes all the way back this way. Linda,
Shit, I don't know what that is. Can you believe that?
take a picture of that.
With existing equipment off the shelf, we really need to speak to the technology itself. We need to speak more.
Oldest bottle is this one.
1875.
Romanée Conti.
1875.
1875,
Oh,
Romanée Conti. Romanée Conti is one of the best wine in the world. Elle est belle.
What year was that?
75.
Oh, right on.
Slightly before you guys were born.
Yeah, 1926.
Combien? This is a goat cheese that has aged a year of age. There's brie, that's normal cheese.
Ça, c'est du brie à Savarin.
Ah, brie à Savarin, mais quel âge? Parce qu'il est vieux là, le tien.
Non, il a 6 mois.
6-month-old brie à Savarin.
Là,
Because
c'est-
normally it's fresh, creamy.
Master de 9 mois.
Whoa! Monster
Époisse de 9 mois.
9 months. Et quoi?
Époisse de 9 mois. Pas époisse.
Maroilles.
Maroilles.
Un maroilles, c'est truc
Ah,
du Nord.
maroilles, hein?
Oui, c'est truc du Nord. Là.
Ouais, maroilles I never tried. It's the first time. Maroilles is a northern cheese. And when you see movies, French movies from North France, you hear about maroilles.
Christopher, t'as intérêt à te brosser les dents avant de brasser ta femme.
Ils prennent ça au petit-déj dans le café.
And if you go back home, brush your teeth. Et il y a 2 crottes.
Les petites crottes, bon, ça c'est juste
Vous avez eu les bouches?
Moi, je vais prendre le truc de Tarlouse.
He's chicken. He's chicken. He's chicken.
He's one of the wild chickens.
Yeah. Il a dit il va t'écraser sur la
Well,
route.
Chris, you know I like strong cheese, like your blue cheese.
Yeah.
Elevator pitch on Nikki's pearls.
There's no kids. We have everything. He's the master.
These pearls are coming
we
from.
usually from the Tuamotus and
Tuamotus?
the Copies, yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we usually we don't really make much jewelry. We sell wholesale.
Right.
Yeah, to mostly to Asia, Japan, Hong Kong, China. Yeah, that's the main market. But yeah, so this is our downtime. So we're making some strands and some bracelets and stuff like that for special
order.
Special customer clients like you know.
When you
for
just
so
walk in.
have something for you, you know, when you show up.
Need a little display case. The variety.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, that's
Yeah.
good. So Jason needs to eyeball it and you need to tell him the
And how
attributes.
are they graded? How do you know what you have? What's the?
It's all graded, huh? So that's what we do. We grade them and we match them, you know. And that's how we make the necklaces. So it's graded by shape, color, size.
So I have a wife and 2 daughters.
Yeah.
I gotta give them all 3 something special.
Okay.
And I have one Kathy.
And he has a girlfriend.
A girlfriend, yeah. So yeah, I have this kind of like, we make like long strands, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Like this one.
Wow.
Yeah. Usually Tahitian pearls are dark, you know, but they come in all different kinds of colors, and we sort the colors out and match them to make strands and stuff like that. So this one is more of a white.
checklist, so it depends what you like.
I have no idea.
And I have other more simple stuff too. If you're not like so crazy about getting something expensive and special, I have like
Let me show you some
other kinds
stuff.
of bracelets that are more just casual, you know?
Yeah, she was
This
talking
is
about.
more- I'm not a big storyteller.
Take two.
So how come we get this kind, Nikki? Why do we get this kind and not this kind? Please tell me.
This kind is when you start to produce the first pearl, you put a piece of the tissue of the clam and the nucleus bead into the oyster. And not every oyster, some of them reject the nucleus.
Right.
And so what's left over is a piece of the tissue.
And they don't reject that.
No, and that's when these keshi pearls grow over the tissue.
What does keshi mean?
Keshi is just a name for
It's a
this
name
type
for it,
of pearl,
okay.
yeah. It's no,
Is that a Tahitian name?
yeah, Tahitian name.
Okay, let's weigh that sucker
I
up.
think Tahitian or Japanese, I'm not
Let's
sure.
weigh that sucker up.
Yeah, let's weigh it. All ready, you know?
Well done.
Yeah,
It's a proper safe too.
yeah, it's good.
the part of the sourcing program. And here, you understand how Tahiti is managed? So we are in Papeete, you have after Pire, Aroe, Mahina. The four cities are coming there. And after we have the landfill at the opposite, the island. And Hiti Aotera, Tairapu West, Tevaita, Papara are coming to this place. And then in Punaru you have the Papeete and Punaru.
and the landfill is there. And Chopo there.
Ouais. Punauia.
Papeete, Paha, Punauia, landfill, Tahiti Nui, Tahiti Iti, Chopo, landfill, and we are pretty much like this.
And the big, heavy concentration of the population is here.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's why here goes here, and all this goes here because there's about 3 times more people here than there is here.
Marina. The other places are coming by the truck from Morea, from Paravao, from Punauia. The truck is there. We have the conveyor. Transport the cardboard. We have a trommel, but the small pieces and dust go down. This is go to the landfill, the blue bin, and then the sort, plastic bottle and PET. Office paper, newspaper, magazine, mixed paper, cans like scrap can, metal can, aluminum can, HDPE, and then the chemical, the liquid that will go to the landfill and the last bin. Yeah, and where the truck is parked there, the place is waiting to the tree, but it's a place for the industrial waste. When a supermarket, for example, arrive with a lot of cardboard, they don't go there, they go there. Okay. Wednesday the green, and Tuesday and Thursday it's oversized waste or green waste. So if you come up Friday, for example, once the truck here, it will be full of waste. It was moving along to some cardboard and there we went. So they are going to open to check correctly. So in this place, let's solve the big cardboard first. There's some of that seems cardboard too. Yeah, the other workers will do the finishing the sorting program. Yeah, that's good. They're so cute.
We won't show your gay side.
Action.
Yeah! Mauvais départ. On va le faire sans... So here you have the map to understand. So we are in Tahiti. Tahiti, Pire, Aro, Marina are coming there for the grey bin and the green bin. The green bin stays there to the MRF you visit, and the grey go with the trucks to the landfill. In the landfill, we have Papara, Teveluka, Teherapu West, Titiotera, we are coming for all the waste. The green and the gray. The gray stays there, and the green is coming back by the empty trucks to the center. And in the middle, Punauia and Paia go in an area with a transfer station. And after we have the same in Morea. And every day, Miropol drive a truck by the ferry to Morea and come back with the waste.
Oh, so the actual truck goes by ferry, not
By the ferry boat.
This is the ferry. This is your window. Right from
And the green waste, where is the compost?
For the green waste, I don't manage the green waste.
Okay.
In our rules, the FINRAMA is managing all the waste, but not the green waste. The green waste stay for the municipality. But they can ask me an option to do it. But no cities ask us to do that.
Okay, and if someone throws green waste away in one of your bins, what do you do with it? You just take it to the. If someone just threw green waste in the bin,
if we do some penalties, it's money. We ask money, so they stop for the second time. So now, 20 years ago, when GIP started to visit us, we have a lot of green waste mixed with the home waste. And now, if you go to sea, it's
very good.
we don't have a lot. But the home produce a lot of green waste. It's the same amount than the gray bin. To give you an idea of, it's raining and hot every day, so we have a lot of production of green.
And then not having the green waste helps a little bit with your moisture content too, right? Because the green waste would add a lot of moisture.
But after, some cities assign a market with the technical company, like Punauia, Papeete, Pire, and Narwe. So they shred it. Yeah, they prepare, they pre-shred the green waste, and after they have, close to the landfill, they have an area for the composting program. But it's not, there is no unity.
The compost, does that go to anyone who wants it, or do you sell it?
We sell it.
If you go to Carrefour and the main shop, just buy them.
So you watch the program.
Yeah.
Paper, cardboard, PET, HPE, metal, and aluminum can. So you see the amount. The green light, it's municipalities, and the green dark, it's industrial. So today it's 30% and 70% of the side.
What year did that start? 2000?
2000. 25 years of program. So you see here, the COVID.
Yeah.
So you visit the part for the home waste and the part for the MRF and the sorting program. This is the landfill for the gray bins. So you see the program. At the beginning, we're increasing a lot, and then first economic crisis in 2008, and we're decreasing, and it's very similar for many years. And the green light, it's municipalities, and the dark part, it's for the industrial. For this side, it's between 80-85% municipality, 15% industrial.
How many years left for the landfill?
We start in 2000, and we think we have between 8 and 10 more years. But we have a program to increasing the lifetime because the landfill is like a way, the later way, and we hope to use the center of the way. And we could have 12 or 15 more years. Or we go to the field we explained this morning on the East Coast for a new program. cell and the station, water station. So the gravel, the glass bottle is reduced like a gravel, and we're increasing also this program.
Where is that process, the glass bottles? Where do you process that?
What's the shrink?
Where do you, the glass bottles, when they come in, they go where to get processed to gravel?
It's a company, Tahiti Agrega. C'est une compagnie d'agrégats qui déjà concasse des roches, quoi.
Okay, it's a company that specializes in doing rocks, grinding rocks, and they grind the grass as well with the same tools.
This is the home composting program. And after, so all I show you, home composting, green bin, glass bottle, gray bin, and oversized waste food, it's paid by each municipality to FINWAMA. And then FINWAMA asks who want to work with us. And for the rest of the program I'm going to show you, they are paid by the government to FINWAMA, and we organize also this program. So we have alkaline batteries. It's the only waste we go to Europe, and perhaps next time to South Korea. Lead acid batteries to South Korea. Oil, engine oil to New Zealand.
How much engine oil do you collect a year?
140 to 180 tons per year maximum. And the pharmacy, go to New Zealand. This is a big problem for us. The light of security for the alarm for the boats. Yeah, a lot of fire start with them. It's coming from citizen, but also from professional.
What do you do with them?
It's there is no solution because we cannot load them in a shipping line company. They refuse because the date is too late. So we inert them in a concrete.
Concrete
case. Yes. And we asked to the Haut Commissariat to see with the French army if they have an oven to burn like the gun shoot
ammunition.
Because it's possible to add this kind of product inside.
The pharmacy,
but no answer.
The pharmacy medical waste, do you autoclave them before you ship them out, or you just ship it out?
No, they'll just ship it out.
Some of those autoclaves in any of the bio waste.
There is a small one here
in the hospital.
Yeah, but
not for the chemistry.
But medicines.
Yeah, it's medicines.
This was between 8 to 12 tons per year.
Wow.
But during the COVID, 30 to 25 tons.
My God.
During 3 years.
And now back to normal?
Yes, close to 18. It's high.
Still with an increase.
That much was weights, actual weights.
So this is another problem for us. All batteries staff new tools
Major issue.
with the batteries inside. A lot of problem of fire. So we try to collect them, and we have a problem to export when the battery is very used or destroyed. But they refuse on the shipping line. So we keep them, and we hope to find the same or better solution. But for the beginning, it will be the same that for the light.
Even used, not destroyed. Just used battery. The shipping lines don't want to take.
Everybody is talking about cars, like Tesla or anyway. But we don't care of them because it's a very low battery, and this battery you cannot hide it in the waste. We are going to see it. But the small one, it's terrible. The watch, the cigarette, the iPad, and you see the phone. Here, a phone you can buy it for 1,000 to 2,000 US dollar, but some Chinese phone, it's $1. So, but it's the same problem at the end. People who pay a lot a phone, they're not going to put it in the bin, but the weight. But people who buy it in a
Cheap phone.
very cheap, they don't care.
Did you guys hear about the battery fire in California at Morro Bay? Did you hear about that? The world's biggest battery bank caught on fire.
A few weeks ago?
A couple months ago, yeah.
Yeah.
And of course, cannot put out.
Everywhere.
So in the news, they put on the news that the fire chief had decided not to try and put it out. Of course, he could not put it out. But in the news, they said, oh, we're just going to let it burn. And they should have said, we cannot put it out. So the public still maybe doesn't quite understand. It produces its own oxidation, so crazy. Big, huge fire.
Yeah.
Biggest fire ever in human history.
Last week in Auckland City, big fire also.
In Auckland, battery base.
Non, non. Comme
How many tons of batteries do you deal with right now?
we don't organize the program, so we don't collect a lot. We say to people, wait. We have a global storage between us, between 15 and 20 tons.
I think we could collect at least 5 tons a year.
Easy.
Easy.
I collect, for electronics, I collect last year 180 tons. After it's paint and all kind of product, because the problem is that if this part burn and you have this on the side, it's worse. Okay, so we collect this, and this we collect last year close to 50 tons to New Zealand. They go to New Zealand. And we have a program with the car's body, so we clean it first, no oil, no batteries, no gasoline, and after we do some base, and they go to New Zealand.
You take the tires off?
No, it depends. If it's a big car, off-road or SUV, yes, we take the tires alone in the containers. But if a small car, we do everything.
How many cars a year do you export?
So we export between 1,200 to 1,600 or 800 cars per year. So we have one very old baler given by the French Army a few years ago, 20 years ago, and we have a new one. He is 3 years old, and we are in process to buy a new one like this one.
What are you going to do with Dominique's Range Rovers?
Qu'est-ce que tu vas faire avec les Range Rover de Dominique?
You see all those Range Rovers outside of his house?
Range Rover? Ah oui.
Ouais, il a plein de Range Rover devant chez lui.
Ah.
C'est son fils qui les démonte et qui les remonte.
Les vieux Range Rover.
Mais en fait, il est démon, plus souvent.
We can bang.
His son is playing with that.
I do the same like this. Okay, and we start with Europol, a new program 3-4 years ago for the tires to shred them as a drain.
And what do you do with the shred?
We use it for the biogas at the landfill to protect the tubes between the tubes of biogas and the waste. But we have a stock, and after we must to find solution for the to drain in different process. But about this program, the government is very slow, and perhaps we must export to another country the shredded.
We'd like to use them as to replace rubber in the trench in civil engineering, you know, just for as a drainage. Yeah. How about asphalt? Try to use it in the mixed asphalt with roads.
Mixed asphalt? Oh, no, we won't use it. We want to mix it with asphalt because the pieces are pretty good.
After it's not a program, it's a public communication. The turtle is our logo. So we have the golden turtle. If you are a good citizen, you can have a golden turtle. So we have different categories. The best city of Fenwama, the best islands not in Fenwama were user, the best school, from the small one to the university. I don't care. I want to know what they want to do for the environment and the management of waste. The best hotel, the best society, and the best festival organization, sport, culture, whatever. We compare and we give them the prize: golden, silver, bronze. Every year.
So do you get the better price for a year?
Yeah. The next time it will be the 5th of January, of June, so 5th of June, for the 2024 result. And you see, this morning we crossed some kids. So we do a lot of stuff to explain. And we have also some Muppets who are going to the school from 19 years now.
Yeah.
Every year we have a program to explain Tao and Tiapo, some Muppet show to the kids. And the program, at the beginning we explain how to sort.
Yeah.
After we explain how to do some difference between dangerous waste and recyclable waste. Then we explain the composting. And now we including this program in the story, and we are talking about the problem of kids with a smartphone, too many screen. We explain how to be a good citizen together, how to speak, how to take care of everybody. It's not only the searching program, we have more subject to have a better story.
Yeah.
And we give for free some trash for the when you have a festivals.
Okay, yeah.
And the last program, the turtle, but the heart turtle. It's a social program to help association. Every time you put 1 kilogram in the green bin, we give 2 francs to this association. So last year we gave 13 million francs. So
Pacific franc. $130,000, $110,000.
40,000 go to is coming from industrial, and 90,000 is coming from municipalities, and we give this money to different associations, like a small association from a small city because the mayor won, no problem, we give them, or a main association like about concert, about a lot of trouble for society. That's it. You do everything.
Beautiful.